This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Monday. It is the Morning Drive on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Great to have you with us as we start another week. It's just a couple of weeks left in the year that we're going to call 2023, so hope it's been a good year for you, or maybe in some cases a great year for you. And if it hasn't, well, you know what? There's always next year, which is right around the corner. Okay, there's always next year. So it'll be coming at you soon. Today's December the 11th. So let's see, the 18th. 2 weeks from today is Christmas. 3 weeks from today is New Year's Day. So you got about 21 shopping days left in 2023 to try to turn that frown around and make it a smile. We come to you this morning from the First United Bank studio and look forward to hearing from you today on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that, or the mobile app. Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. Well, I'll tell you what, it was a great Sunday of NFL watching yesterday. Some of the games came out okay, some not so good. And how about them Cowboys, Jamie? Man alive. They may be the best looking team in football right now. At least in the NFC.
Yeah, they look like the hottest team. I don't think there's any question of that. I do think there's something to be said for the Eagles are not firing on all cylinders by any stretch of the imagination right now after what you've seen over the last few weeks. But they definitely, Cowboys offensively just look like, man, they've put it all together. And then defensively, just kind of making plays when they need to. Obviously, the 3 turnovers were massive in the game last night, and all of them in plus territory for the Eagles that would have made that game different. But, I mean, in all 3 instances, Cowboys making plays.
Yes,
it
right.
wasn't like just that they're the receivers or Jalen Hurts or whatever drop the ball on their own. I mean, Cowboys were making plays, and give them credit for that. So, they look like a hot team right now, and they've given themselves a shot there to win the division. Obviously, the schedule is a little bit tougher for the Cowboys, but man, the way they're playing right now, it feels like they're up to the task.
Cowboys moved to 10-3. Eagles fall to 10-3. Cowboys win it yesterday evening, 33-13 on Sunday Night Football, game you heard right here on Double T 97.3. Dak was 24 of 39, 271 yards, 2 touchdowns. They ran the ball efficiently, kind of spread it around a little bit. 32 times for 132 yards, a rushing touchdown from Rico Dowdle, one that they had to review, but that was reviewed, and they saw how the ball was across. I mean, he had kind of wormed his way underneath everybody and got the ball across the plane. Tony Pollard, 16 totes, 59 yards. Dowdle, 12 for 46. And then from a receiving standpoint, Jake Ferguson with 5 catches for 72 yards. He's made you forget all about your tight end position. And he's done a terrific job coming in and filling that spot.
You mean he's made you forget the tight end that you lost in the offseason? Yeah. They're not forgetting the tight end position. They're using it really well.
They are using it really well.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right about that.
He's been a major factor.
CeeDee Lamb, 6 catches, 71 yards. Michael Gallup had 3 for 48. Brandon Cooks had 2 for 37 yards. So, again, they just spread it out all amongst them. And then Tony Pollard caught 7 balls for 37 yards as they used him quite frequently as well last night. And then how about Stephon Gilmore? Man, 9 catches or nine tackles last night, all of them solo. And
and 2 of them were to end drives.
Yeah, to massive ones. So a great outing for the Cowboys as far as last night is concerned. So as Jamie said, the schedule's going to stiffen up a little bit. They'll play at Buffalo. Buffalo comes off of a win over Kansas City, and Josh Allen made spectacular plays in that game. I mean, he made spectacular plays in that ball game, and then the Buffalo defense. I mean, they caused turnovers when they needed to, and I know people are going to complain about the end of the game, but the Chiefs got beat yesterday. They got beat. They got beat by a team that came in there and executed more plays and did more things than what the Chiefs did, and it's just plain and simple. So Buffalo fighting for a playoff spot. They'll play at home next week against the Cowboys, and then the Cowboys have to go to Miami, and then they go at home to Detroit, and then they finish at Washington. So the next 3 weeks for the Cowboys are really, really challenging because you're going to play, obviously, two contenders in the AFC, one that may make it to a Super Bowl. Who knows? Hell, one or two of them. Neither one of them could. And then Detroit, a team that obviously has had a great season. So the next 3 weeks.
Sunday, though.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I don't know that it's any tougher. I mean, I would say the Eagles are better than any of those teams they just played. What the challenge for the Cowboys is that they've been so awesome at home, and can they play the same way? You know, on the road or whatever. You know, and then you kind of look at what the Eagles have been to. I mean, they've been through a gauntlet themselves here over the last couple of weeks. You know, they won last week at Kansas City, but you know, they've had a tough stretch too. I mean, they lost to the 49ers. They beat the Bills in overtime. They won at Kansas City, and then they won at home against the Cowboys. So their last 3 weeks, last 4 weeks have been, not counting yesterday, have been pretty tough as well. And then their stretch is going to get a little bit easier. They'll play at Seattle a week from tonight. Then they host the Giants, host the Cardinals at the Giants. So they finish obviously with an easier stretch than the Cowboys. So this division race is by no means over. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say so. By no
means at all. So your thoughts and comments this morning, Yates Flooring Center chat line, it's open. Visual Edge IT hotline, it's open. Lots on the docket today to get to. Lots of sports going on and news as well from the sporting world. Red Raiders and Lady Raiders off this weekend from a basketball standpoint. Texas Tech football Saturday. They'll play in the Independence Bowl. We'll have coverage all week long here on their road to Shreveport.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Man, how quickly a week can change things. You know, we talked last week. One of your questions of the day was, are the Cowboys a Super Bowl contender? And can't just immediately just kind of remove all the warts just because you have a big win at home. And it was a big win last night, but you'd have to elevate them to that. And now it's a no question, right? Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, and the list is not real long of teams that I think are legitimate contenders. The problem is I think that two, or specifically the one that I think is the most likely, if you're betting the house on somebody right now, it's the San Francisco 49ers, right? And if you were, second in that would probably be the Cowboys. But, you know, if things go like kind of according to what it looks like, again, the Cowboys would still have to play at Philly and at San Francisco to get to the Super Bowl. So do I think they're good enough to beat either one of those two teams? Sure, I do. Even if it's on the road, do I think that it's likely that they beat those two teams back to back on the road? I do not. That's a really tough task. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It's just a really tough road for the Cowboys. Even though I think they're better than the Eagles, okay, and I wouldn't say that about the 49ers. I would still say the 49ers are the favorite, especially now that they have the number one seed. I just think that's a really tall task for any team to go through what the Cowboys are going to have to go through. I mean, if I was predicting it right now, I would predict them to go to Philly and win and then lose on the road at San Francisco.
ESPN puts out projecting the NFC playoff field, and right now they give the 49ers a 51% chance to make it to the Super Bowl, the Eagles an 18% chance, and the Cowboys a 23% chance.
Feels about fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, anybody else is in single digits. I mean, the next closest would be the Lions at 4%, and everybody else is, and then Green Bay's at 1%, and the others that are in the playoff picture right now less than 1%. So that's kind of interesting. In the AFC right now, it's Baltimore at 33%, and then the Dolphins at 33%, Chiefs at 19%. Seems high, especially after losing now 3 straight. Jaguars at 6%, and then it goes down from there. They have the Bills at 5%, and the Bills are
still unlikely to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
so.
trying to make the playoffs. Right, they're scheduled to be a 38% chance right now, as of right now, to make the playoffs. So, yeah, they still have a little bit of work to do, and maybe and I think they're talking about it. We just haven't talked about it, and really, it's not been on my radar because I haven't watched any of their games. But the Ravens, at this point in time, they may be, if not the best, one of the 2 best in the AFC.
It'd be hard to not pick them as the favorite right now.
Yeah. The only team that I might pick would be Miami. Just because
yet to be anybody good.
Right. So
I wouldn't. I would stick with the Ravens.
So Dolphins play Monday night tonight. There's a Monday night doubleheader tonight. Dolphins are favored by 13.5. They'll play Tennessee tonight.
So even after tonight, they still won't have beat anybody.
Right. And then the other game tonight, and why they're doing this, I do not know. But the Packers and the Giants are playing tonight at the Meadowlands, and Green Bay is favored by 6.
I think I saw where one of the games is on ESPN Plus. So your answer is to try to force people to get
to ESPN Plus.
ESPN Plus. That's why they're doing it.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I think it's on ABC in Green Bay and in New York, and then for the rest of the country, it's ESPN Plus. That's how that would work. But still, yeah.
Yeah.
Still makes your point.
Again, they're trying to force people to buy an ESPN Plus subscription.
Yeah. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, good luck.
Called marketing and business.
It is. It's called just trying to kind of force the deal. The Dolphins yesterday beat the Washington Commanders 45-15. Jamie,
Yeah, tough one.
That was a very much a tough one. So it was. I mean, I watched a lot of football yesterday. The Jets game, the Jets and the Falcons, was a 0-0 game at the half.
Jets beat the Texans, I thought.
I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong week here.
Well,
yes. Jets beat the Texans 30-6. It was 0-0 at the half.
Eesh. Yeah, the Texans, that's a really disappointing.
I was working and listening is what I was doing. So I had my eyes on my computer and my ears listening to the TV.
No, the Texans had played, kind of felt like they were, kind of a hot team and playing well. And man, did they lay an egg yesterday. It
was raining to beat the band in New York. I mean, it was in the first half just coming down in sheets. It was amazing there weren't more turnovers. It was amazing they could throw the ball. It was amazing they could hang on to the ball. It was amazing they could punt it.
It was amazing that Zach Wilson led a team to 30 points.
Yes, and all of those in the second half. All of those in the second half. I'll give you the numbers on Zach just since you brought that up. And C.J. Stroud left with an injury. Yeah. Zach Wilson, 27 of 36, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Good numbers.
Good numbers. Speaking of the Ravens, Did you see how they won yesterday on a
walk-off punt return?
Punt return in overtime over the Rams, 37-31. And then a real thriller in Vegas yesterday. The Vikings beat the Raiders 3-0. 3-0. So it was and it took to a minute and 57 to go in the game. Greg Joseph kicks a 36-yard field goal to give the Vikings the victory.
Well, they made it exciting down to the finish.
Yes.
Didn't want to tease you with scoring points in the first quarter or anything like that and think you were going to get a lot more.
Didn't want to tease you. How proud of you were of the Bills yesterday?
I'm happy they won.
You're happy that they won? Okay. It was Josh Allen went 23 of 42, 233 yards, threw a touchdown, threw an interception. But, man, he had a acrobatic throw just to stay in bounds. And then they had an acrobatic catch. And then they come up with a fumble recovery. Well, it kind of squirts out of bounds. But they did what they needed to do. And the Bills beat the Chiefs 20-17 as Mahomes could not overcome an interception and then a fumble as well. He went 25 of 43, 271 yards, and the Chiefs lose 20-17, so they fall to 8-5 on the season. I got to tell you, I'm the whining after the game yesterday. I mean, there was a pass play to Travis Kelce, and then he throws it back across the field to Kadarius Toney. One
of probably the coolest thing I've ever seen on a football field. It was so incredibly cool. I mean, what wide receiver, tight end, whatever, running back, catches the ball, runs down the field on their 10 yards or so, and then turns and throws a perfect spiral across the field for a lateral. I mean, it was the coolest play in the history of ever, maybe.
And
that didn't count.
It didn't count because Kadarius Toney was lined up off sides. I mean, and it wasn't just a little bit. I almost liken it to the guy like me that drives 5 over all the time and then all of a sudden decides to drive 10 over and gets pulled over and it's like, whoa, I was only going 10 over. Okay, well, you're speeding. You get tickets for 10 over. Maybe not 5 over, but 10 over. And he was way over the line.
Wasn't even close.
No. And so I don't understand all the complaining. Maybe after they look at it, they'll have a different view of it.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. We'll have High School Fan Zone tonight on 100.7 The Score. Coaches from Coronado, Estacado, Lubbock, and Monterey will visit. Okay. We'll also have the Cowboy Hour. It'll be a Victory Monday on the Cowboy Hour tonight. That'll be at 6. Cowboys winning over the Philadelphia Eagles last night. Just absolutely creamed them. So now they're tied for the lead in the NFC East. We'll have Monday Night Football on for you tonight. The game that features the Giants and the Packers, that's the game that we'll have tonight. There are 2 Monday night games tonight.
I had to pick one or the other. I went with the one with the NFC East team in it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Plus, the other game features the Miami Dolphins in any way that I can keep away from promoting Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
Is definitely a goal of mine.
There's some that think he's going to be the MVP.
That's great for the league.
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, he'd be the first wide receiver to be a National Football League MVP if that happens. Okay, so I have this feeling, and look, I don't have any inside knowledge here. I didn't go when they were moving the team out of the football building into the west side and say, just kind of lurk around and listen. I just have this feeling that Taj Brooks is going to come back next year and play for Texas Tech. That he's going to kind of look at this from a business standpoint and maybe a personal standpoint. But that from a business standpoint, it'll be better for him to stay in school another year than to risk it and try to be a free agent and and come up with nothing, and then have to go get himself a real job, something that's completely different than what he's doing. But that's just a gut feel that I have. I don't know if you have any similar feelings to that or not.
I think my gut is telling me that he's going to come back as well. And we had heard that there was a number thrown out of what he wants to stay. It feels like if there was any truth to the fact that there's any thought that if a certain amount was given that he would stay. I have no idea what the amount is or what it is, how much it is, whatever.
What the real number is. Yeah,
I would think that means he's definitely willing to stay and thinks it would probably be a good idea. Okay? Otherwise, no, if he was super confident that I'm going to go, I'm going to make a team, I'm going to get a big contract, whatever, I'm going to get a 3-year deal, rookie money, whatever, then he wouldn't be considering the $200,000 or $500,000 or whatever that's going to be offered here.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, I think no matter what that money is, if he was hearing from the NFL scouts, you're a surefire NFL player, I don't think whatever the money here is, I don't think it would matter.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
And those guys are around all the time.
Yeah.
And they don't just come around on pro day. I mean,
so I'm guessing that he's getting information from scouts or advisors or whatever that it's not a sure thing, and you might take advantage of getting another year of school and getting another year of NIL money, and then see what happens next year. That's what's the reason that my gut is telling me what your gut is telling you.
Yeah, I feel similarly. And I think if you were to compare, let's just say he was out of eligibility and you had to compare him to SaRodorick Thompson in terms of potential in the NFL, you would still put SaRodorick, like if it's just the both of them coming out at the same time, and let's just say everything's equal, you would say SaRodorick has the better chance for an NFL career than Taj, right?
Man, I don't. They're just so different in what they do. SaRodorick plays more of the NFL style of, being able to catch the ball in the backfield and being a little bit more explosive. And like we were talking about before, teams don't usually have that, that horse that, runs the ball 20 times or 25 times a game anymore. We don't see that very often. And Taj is more of that guy, and so, he's one of the leaders in the country in broken tackles and all that good stuff. You just don't see running backs as much in the NFL run through guys. And so you've got to be shiftier, you've got to be faster, all of those things. And that's where I just feel like SaRodorick's game fits the NFL a little bit more than Taj's does, even though I think Taj was the better back here at Texas Tech. Had the much better big season that Taj had last year. So I don't know. It just feels like it feels like you're probably right, and that SaRodorick has the better chance. But I don't know. I think Taj was terrific last year. I thought he showed more of a burst than I thought he had in him. He's a smart runner, and that he's patient, and it's not very often that he misses the hole. I can remember one time specifically in the UCF game early in that game, towards the north end of the field where he missed it, and then you went for it on 4th down and down later and didn't get it.
He could sure help you if he came back, though.
Yeah, so I just feel like he's a really smart back and all of those things, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see him find a spot in the NFL and stick around for a few years like running backs do. But I also would not say that he's a no-brainer. He's going to go to the next level and be great.
Yeah. How do you feel about Loic Fouonji playing in the bowl game, even though he's in the portal? And then along the same lines of Coach McGuire, which I thought I think it's very big of him. It's similar to when an employee leaves a company. where he said, hey, as long as the player leaves the right way, comes in and talks to me, and we have a conversation, and we do it professionally, then they're stuck with me for life, that I'll always help them and support them. I think that's very big of him to have that philosophy and to say that, and then to say to Fungi, hey, you may not get a whole lot of targets, but you're welcome to play since you helped get us here.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the fact that Fungi's not angry with our coaching staff, or it's not that he thinks there's a bunch of jerks here that he doesn't want to play for, or he doesn't like, or whatever, or he doesn't like his teammates. It just speaks to, I want to go somewhere where I'm going to get more targets. But the fact that he still has interest in playing in the bowl game, I think speaks highly for him. And I think it speaks highly for Coach McGuire that he still wants to play for that guy, even though he knows, I'm not getting a ton of targets already and probably will continue to not. But, who knows? So I think that's cool on both sides. I can appreciate that. Again, it's how you leave and how you handle the situation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah. So I think, and he made that quite clear that he'll still, and for some of these guys that are in the portal that leave, some of them have graduated from here, so they're Tech alums. I mean, even if they do go and finish their career somewhere else. So that's I thought that was an interesting take for him, and it's the healthier take. It's being the bigger man, and then sometimes all of us have a hard time, doing that, showing that, and being that. And look, sometimes like if you have an employee leave you, sometimes it's to the betterment of them, for them to go somewhere else, whether it's across town or to another city or to another company, and they might have an opportunity to make more money and have a bigger responsibility, and who knows, maybe closer to their house or whatever. But if they just kind of drop you and just say, see ya, today's it, like right now, or as opposed to having that conversation, you probably have a different feeling about that person when you run into them over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, because you do have those. The world is round, and it does
Sure.
it does come back around. And then we've all had people that have worked for us, and we still have great relationships, or we have people that you go, yeah, I really wouldn't. If he was burning, I probably wouldn't throw water on him.
It happens.
It happens, right? It happens. It's just life, right? That's part of our road to Shreveport today. Our coverage all week long that is brought to you in part here today by McGavick Nissan, and also many fine others here this morning on the morning drive. And so we look forward to our coverage all weekend long.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Time now for Jamie's question of the day on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
All right, gentlemen. I have a two-parter for you,
Okay.
but I think it's pretty easy.
Sometimes we struggle with these.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you two questions. Number one, on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to tell me what your confidence level is for the Red Raiders in said bowl game on the road to Shreveport with Cal in the Independence Bowl. And then I want you to give me, and I think I know what our answers will be, but I'd be interested in the audience's answer on this. It just feels like it's really quiet when it comes to people talking about the bowl game. So I want the other answer to be, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your care level for this bowl game? Okay? It just feels like our Red Raider community is just quiet about it. That doesn't mean that there are not going to be people go to the game. Doesn't mean there are not going to be people watching it. It just there's not a lot of people asking me about, hey, what do you think of the matchup, or anything like that. How good is Cal, or any of that. It just seems really quiet.
Okay, so my first response is 7 with regard to my confidence levels is a 7. I think that part of that, a lot of that goes with your quarterback is probably going to be as healthy as he's been, Baron Morton, since maybe he entered the game against West Virginia. So I'm curious. The fact that Taj Brooks is coming back, I have felt really good about your defense and your ability to hold teams down. So that. And then, yeah, I think you're right. I think the care factor is not very high for this bowl game. I think if you were to stop 1,000 cars at 6th and Avenue O here, or 6th and Q right behind us, there's more traffic at 6th and Q than 6th and O. I think if you to say, hey, if they just said to us, we're going to give you a check and going to give the players their swag, but you don't have to play the game, I think 75% of the people would say, yeah, I'm good with that. Let's just call it a year and let's on to recruiting and on to worry about next year and reboot and move on, as opposed to playing the game itself. So, yeah, I think the care factor is not very high at all for this game.
Okay. Real quick, are you talking about the fan base care factor? I mean, or could it be either?
I was just going with my personal care factor, but
because I would agree with everything Chuck just said on the fan base.
I would agree too. I would agree with what Chuck just said.
My care factor, yeah, I want to put it on Cal again. I enjoy having fond memories of 2004, and I would like to continue those this year. And Cal's one of those schools that anytime you get a chance to line up against them, I'm a fan of beating them. They're kind of nose in the air without a lot of reason to be for it kind of school. So I'm at like a 7 or an 8 I'm going to be locked in watching it on Saturday night. That's what my plans would entail even if I wasn't working here. I'm going to be watching the bowl game. As for confidence, 6.5, 7 tops. I do think getting a chance to get healthy can really help this team, although that continues to drop every time I see another name enter the transfer portal. Not a lot of the guys that you've entered the transfer portal have been like key cogs in your non-offense, but it'd be nice to have someone to throw the ball to and someone to block for Baron Morton and Taj Brooks in the bowl game. And we're getting close to those numbers being single digits. So I confidence is not near as high as my interest level.
Okay, my interest level is at a 10. I just feel like it is so different to be 6 and 7 compared to be 7 and 6. This game to me is, I mean, to be below 500 for the season just feels really icky.
Oh, no question, yeah.
And so
no doubt.
I mean, you can take the Cal factor out of it. You can take Pac-12 team. You can take arrogant California school. I just care about getting to 7 wins. I don't want to be below 500. And so because of that, this one means a ton to me. Okay, I maybe more than last year's game meant to me.
So go back 2 years ago when you played Mississippi State. You were 6 and 6, mm-hmm. or even go back 6 years ago. You were 6 and 6 and went to the Birmingham Bowl and finished 7 and 6. Did you win that game?
Oh, you lost.
Lost that game.
South Florida.
Okay,
should have won that game.
Should have won that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just feels so different to me. And so because of that, like I said, the matchup does not matter to
mm-hmm.
me. The bowl game, where it is, it just doesn't. I just want to finish the season above 500. I don't want to be below 500.
Okay.
So, my confidence.
Do you think there's any carry? I mean, does it give you? I know generally how you feel about momentum going into the off season, but do you think it helps the fan base? Being 7 and 6 as opposed to winning your last game. Do you think it helps the program in general exponentially by winning?
I don't think it helps the program. I think it helps the fan base feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I include myself in that mix, and that's really all I'm talking about here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it like takes you to a different level of recruiting. I don't think all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, well, that's a program I want to donate to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. You are where you are right now, but it just feels, I don't know, man. We had such high hopes for this season to end it below 500,
right?
To lose more times than you win.
Yeah,
man. That would really stink.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have major interest in this one in that regard. And it's different. Like the game against Texas, I went into it feeling like you didn't have much of a chance, and so I just kind of accepted, kind of looked like our team was the same way, that you were going to be at 6-6, my confidence level, I'm sorry, but the losing all those offensive linemen, I'm not as worried about the wide receivers because I mean, whatever. You didn't make a ton of plays when you were here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried to death about the offensive line, so my confidence level in the game is a 4.
A 4, okay. Just in terms of ability to protect the quarterback and
run the football, and pass the football, and all that kind of stuff.
All that kind of stuff.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. The road to Shreveport on Double T 97.3 and 100.7 The Score is brought to you by Pollard Ford, Hub City Body Shop, Viva Land Group, McGavick Nissan, Twin Peaks, and Wild West Harley Davidson.
Hey, good morning. This is the Morning Drive on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com. We will have boots on the ground in Shreveport, Louisiana on Friday all day long, and then all day long on Saturday as well, as we get you ready for the Independence Bowl, Texas Tech and Cal. We come to you this morning from the First United Bank studio and look forward to hearing from you today on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Visual Edge IT hotline is open as well at 806-771-0973. So speaking about Road to Shreveport and our coverage, we get this from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Tech's bowl game is the day after I have spinal surgery, so I hope I'm alert enough to take it in live. Otherwise, I'll have to watch the DVR of it. Guess that says I'm interested in the game. It's kind of early in the bowl season, but it is a Tech football bowl game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wish you well with your spinal surgery. And,
heck yeah.
And, just tell them not to tell you the score.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes if you're on some of those kinds of painkillers, you may be watching it with friends that you don't even know they're there. So just keep that in mind. This from Washed Up Guy. I've heard absolutely nothing about Cal in their season. I hope whoever plays for Tech steps up and plays as best they can. That's from Washed Up Guy. Syntax Hank says, I'm at a 5.75 confidence level only because, well, no real reason, just because. I mean, he had commas and everything there. My personality sees the glass as a little bit more than half full. Okay. Do you, like for the game, I guess you're concerned about the number of guys in the portal. What is it, up to 14? But in general, are you concerned about the number of guys in the portal?
No, I guess not. Just because you and I were just looking at a list here. Cincinnati's up to 20 in the portal. I just think it's the way it is in college football now. There were 3 teams from the Big 12, including Utah, that have 14. So I don't think it's a crazy amount. Your wide receiver position didn't perform well this year, and some of those guys are leaving. And there's a good chunk of those guys are leaving. So I guess I felt like we could see that was going to happen. Maybe I didn't expect all the offensive linemen to bail as well, but I don't know that I don't love it. Don't get me wrong, but
right.
I don't know. And to hear Coach McGuire talk about none of it surprised us, and having conversations with the guys. Some of it surprised me, like Monroe Mills.
Yeah.
Some of it surprised me, but I guess I'm not overly concerned with it. I I think I'd love that number to be, at 5 or 6 instead of 14, but it's the way of the college football world, and I'm sure you'll just replace him with other guys from the portal.
Sure. I mean, not to be a jerk or anything, but would you have been surprised if he had said, "I was surprised"? I mean, not really. I mean, to be, but maybe not. Maybe so. Maybe you would have. Maybe. I think we kind of hear what he says, but I mean, on the other hand, it's like, okay, would you have been surprised if he had said, "I was surprised"? Maybe, and maybe you would have said, "Oh," if you would have gone through the list one by one. Yeah, I was a little surprised by Monroe Mills. Mm-hmm. That might have been if you'd have said specifically, "Are you surprised about Monroe Mills going into the portal?" And maybe that would have been you get. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat lines. Cameron Valdez entering the portal is good news for Tech? ?
I wouldn't call it good news.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can try to be a little bit glass half full here and say maybe it's because he thinks Taj is coming back and he doesn't want to sit behind Taj again. He wants
That's
to go
kind of
somewhere.
what I prefer to think.
I mean, if that were the case, I think you'd call that good news.
Yes, right.
Yeah. But I also know that Tech has offered another running back in the portal, and Coach McGuire talked about a lot of guys being here this weekend, so it's possible that, and not that Cameron is needed to see the guy to all of a sudden know that they were looking at somebody else, but I don't know, maybe that also helped make the decision for Mr. Valdez.
Yeah. And, going looking at the portal, I think the number was 6 of the last 7 Heisman Trophy winners have been transfer guys. which is, and it's, and I was thinking about this on Saturday night as I was watching the Heisman presentation. I always like watching that, and I always like watching the winner get announced and et cetera, et cetera. But I was thinking about this going, I guess the transfer portal thing has almost become like, well, you got to have Tommy John surgery to become successful as a pitcher. You got to transfer in order to have success as a quarterback or something.
No.
I mean,
that is not true.
Yeah.
That is not true.
Yeah.
You got to transfer to have more people talking about you.
Oh, okay.
You're not cool unless you transfer.
I got you.
If you play the same school for 4 years, you're a dud.
You're a dud.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with you being successful.
I was kind of being facetious there.
Caleb Williams was successful at Oklahoma. He was a really good quarterback, at Oklahoma. Tons of them. Dylan Gabriel, whatever.
Jaden Smith or Jaden Daniels, whatever. Yeah. Jaden Daniels, right?
Jaden Smith was good in the last Karate Kid movie. Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
It
always comes back to Karate Kid. I'm gonna have to watch that movie. It seems like there's always a lot of Karate Kid references, and there have been some Karate Kid references on Sunday Night Football. From time to time. Chris Collinsworth, I think, is a big fan of Karate Kid.
That's good. Okay. Yeah, I that notion disgusts me. Okay. It's not about I need to go have more success. Mm-hmm. I mean, these guys are bailing in programs that they're the starters on good programs.
Right. No,
that look like they're the incumbent to start again the next year. Mm-hmm. I mean, they do it for attention.
Yeah.
Or I want to go do something different now. I've experienced life in the Big Ten. Now I want to go play in the SEC or the ACC. I just want to do something different.
Or wherever they are is not good enough, even though it's really good.
Or one of these other schools offer me more money.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, it's not about having success.
Yeah, could be. Most likely
that notion just drives me nuts.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.